Hi everyone, it's Stephanie here and welcome back. In today's video, we are going to be playing with the new Moroccan Mosaic Stencil, and I'm also going to share a bonus card using the die, so stay tuned for that. But the majority of the video is going to be centered around this stencil and different ways that you can use it on a cardstock panel to create a card front. I love this type of stencil design where the pattern is kind of in the center and doesn't fully extend across the cardstock panel because you can have some fun with it and move it around to create some different looks. And that's what we're going to do today. So we're going to actually create 3 different cards using the same stencil, and we're going to move it around for each of the card designs. To start off, I first adhered the stencil and my cardstock panel to my work surface just so it kind of stays in place as I'm adding the ink. And now I'm going to add 3 different ink colors that are kind of similar in color. So I have picked raspberry as the center, I'm following that with abandoned coral, and then I'm going to come in with worn lipstick for the very last color. And what I'm trying to achieve is kind of an ombre look with the darkest, brightest color in the center and then kind of fading out to a lighter color on the outside edge. And for this first card design, I decided to position the stencil on the left-hand side of the panel so we get the really great straight edge on the left side, and then on the right side of the panel we get that beautiful mosaic pattern and we kind of have that circular effect. So I really love how this looks on the finished card. One of the panels that I created was actually done without the camera recording it, so I apologize for that, but I did want to share it here. This is the one where I did the stencil in the center of the panel, and I used peacock feathers, evergreen bough, and cracked pistachio for the colors on that one. And I just added the color in the same way that I had done the pink one, so I just used my darker, brighter color in the center and made my way out to the lightest color on the edges. So now we're going to move on to the third one, and for this one here I have the stencil positioned at the top of the panel. So I love this because it's wide enough that it's going to fully extend that pattern all the way across the entire top of the card. And then we're going to get that great circular mosaic design once again in the center area of the card. So once again, I'm just using my Post-it tape and I'm adding it onto both the cardstock panel as well as the stencil. And that's just going to help hold everything in place. For this final design, I decided to use shades of purple. So I have Wilted Violet for the center and I'm just adding that on there until I have a really nice dark saturated look. And then I'm going to follow that up with Dusty Concord. Now the Dusty Concord is a little bit more muted in color, and then the third color, which is shaded lilac, is a really bright lighter purple. And at first I was a little concerned that I wasn't going to be able to get these to blend nicely and get that really nice ombre look. But I just kind of went back and forth with the ink blending tools and I was able to get a really nice blend, and I was really happy with how this one turned out. And of course, the magic is always when you remove the stencil. I love seeing the final result once you have the stencil removed and you can see that beautiful inking. So now I have 3 different panels that all have a beautiful blend of color, and they all have different designs because we were able to move that stencil around to get different looks. So I really love that you have that option and versatility with this design. Okay, so now that we have the inked panels done, I set those aside, and now we're going to work on the die cut version of the card. So this is the exact same design as the stencil. This is the Moroccan Mosaic Die-namics. But the great thing about this is not only does it die cut, but it's a lot smaller than the stencil design. So what I love about this is that you can use multiple of these on one card design to create an entire background. So for the inking, I want it to be similar to what I did with the stencils, but I'm just using a different color palette. This is going to be more of a blue tone. So I have the Mermaid Lagoon in the center, peacock feathers in the middle, and then broken china will be my last color. And I'm just following the exact same process I did with the stenciling, but I'm just doing it on the die. And if you find as you're adding each of the different colors that you're not getting as smooth of a blend as you were hoping, just kind of go back and forth between the colors. I always do one layer of each color first, and then I kind of go back with all of the colors and keep blending until I'm happy with the final result. I really love the kind of transition of that really dark blue in the center to the lighter color. And now that I have it against a piece of white cardstock, you can really see that beautiful ombre look that we got. So I created one more of the mosaics off camera doing the exact same thing. I used the exact same 3 colors and I added it to a white die cut piece. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to adhere these to my card front. Now because this is a pretty intricate design, adding your adhesive can be a little bit challenging. So I definitely recommend using some type of a liquid glue. I like this pen here because it has a chisel tip so I can easily kind of color over the whole back of the surface. And then I'm able to quickly and easily add this onto my cardstock panel. So for this one here, I want this to be the largest in the design, so I'm putting almost the entire mosaic onto my card panel. And I'm just letting a little bit hang off the edge that I'm just going to trim off here with my scissors. I'm not going to end up needing this piece at all. I'm going to use the second one here and kind of piece that one together to create 2 separate mosaics that are going to go off the card. So for this one here, I concentrated the glue just on one half, and I'm just adding it to the top area of the card design. And when I trim off the extra of this one, I'm going to use the extra piece to add my third mosaic near the bottom. So I'm just going to be careful when I cut this one off. I'm going to trim off the side there, and then I'm going to very carefully kind of turn that corner and trim along there. That way I have the entire mosaic piece that's left over to be able to add to the bottom part of the card. And now I'm just going to repeat the same process for the third piece here. I'm just kind of figuring out where I want to put it onto the panel. Then I'm going to add glue to the back, and then once again just adhere that down, making sure to kind of line it up so it's nice and straight. And then once again I will use my scissors to trim off the extra. And then once I've done that, I'm left with this really great background pattern where I have these ombre mosaics, but they're all pieced together from using the die. So now that we have all of our panels completed, it's time to start assembling the cards. So I did a little bit of prep work off camera. I have 4 card bases ready to go. I have 4 black cardstock panels, and then I have all of my inked up pieces and my die cut piece that I've trimmed down slightly smaller so that we can do a little bit of layering. So I'm adding each of these first to a black cardstock panel, and then I'm going to add them to their coordinating card base. All of the card bases are A2 in size, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches, and the cardstock colors I used are Razzleberry, Boysenberry, Tropical Teal, and Green-Eyed Monster. I just kind of went through the different cardstock colors and picked out the ones that would best match the ink colors on the designs. So I'm just going ahead now and completing all of the card designs. I did the exact same process. I added the panel to the black cardstock panel, and then I added it right onto the card base. And now we're left with 4 different card designs. I have the 3 that kind of look like they go together, so they would be really great to create an actual card set as a gift. And then I have the bonus card where I use the exact same design with the die form, but I created a background with multiple since this is a little bit smaller. So now that we have the cards fully assembled, the last thing we need to do is add some sentiments. So I have the You Wow Me stamp set, and I'm going to be using the You're Amazing and the Let's Celebrate You sentiments. I'm going to stamp each of those twice onto some black cardstock. So I have Versamark ink, which is just a clear sticky ink, and I'm stamping this on each side of this little panel here, and then I'm adding some white embossing powder over top. I'm going to do the same thing with the Let's Celebrate You stamp set, and then I'm going to heat set these off camera. Once I have them heat set, I trim them all down into little sentiment strips, and now I can kind of figure out exactly which ones I want to go on what cards. So I just laid out all of the card designs in front of me so I could kind of move the sentiments around and decide which ones to add to which card. I liked the longer sentiments on the cards that kind of had the mosaics going off of the side. So I'm just trimming those down to make them fit into the area that I'm going to adhere them, and then I'm going to add some foam adhesive onto the back of those. Now for these here, once I had them trimmed down and had the foam adhesive attached, I just kind of moved them around until I was happy with where I had them positioned. I liked this one at first in the center, but then I decided I liked it kind of off-center and down near the bottom of that design. And then I'm just going to continue to do this for all of the cards. So for this one here, I decided not to have a slanted edge. I wanted to keep this one completely straight. And then I repeated that same process. I just added some foam adhesive to the back of the strip, and I added it onto the card. Now having the mosaic was great because it allowed me to line up the sentiments pretty straight without needing my T-square ruler since I had the guide of the lines in the design to work with. So now I have all 4 of my cards complete, and you can definitely leave them just as is, but I decided to add a little bit of dimension to mine and add some clear sparkling gems from Pretty Pink Posh. So I just kind of laid out the cards once again, added the gems on to figure out where I wanted them, and then I just went card by card and used my matte multi-medium to add those on. And I just kind of created a different pattern on each of the cards. So once we have those adhered, we are finished with our cards, and we have this really great collection of beautiful cards that were created with one stencil, but each have a unique look to them. And then of course we have this bonus card here that we use the die to create the design on. So this is a really great way, like I mentioned earlier, to create a full card set if you want to give one as a gift. You can change out the sentiments to fill a variety of occasions and use different colors of inks to create the same look. So thank you so much for joining me in today's video. I hope you got some ideas on different ways that you can use your stencils and dies, and I hope to see you in another video soon. Thanks so much for watching.